This is my project on the different models of early childhood education and what they are. Starting off with Montessori, the background of Montessori is that it was developed by Maria Montessori in the early 1900s and is based on the idea that children get the best learning through self-directed activity and hands-on learning rather than sitting in a classroom just looking at the board and listening to the teacher all day. They're going to do better doing it themselves through trial and error. Some key features are that it is child-centered learning, meaning the child is the main leader in their own learning process and education. It's a prepared environment, meaning the learning environment itself is very well organized and is very well stocked, I guess you could say, in learning resources that are going to help the kids learn independence. It's hands-on learning. Like I said earlier, the children are going to engage in using materials to learn with rather than sitting and looking at the board and listening to the teacher all day. They're going to be doing it using things such as puzzles and blocks and kitchen sets and dolls. And last, it's mixed ages, meaning the classrooms can include children of varying ages, which could be good in the long run for development. Some pros and cons are that, so I'll start with pros. It fosters independence and self-discipline, which is going to be very useful and very good in the long run for a student to have. It's adaptable, meaning you can kind of mold it to fit each individual student and their needs. It's a holistic environment, and then it encourages engagement. Some cons are that it's expensive, and so each child may not be able to do Montessori school. Even if it may be better for them, they might just not be able to afford it. Teachers need a lot of training, which if teachers need a lot of training, they may be less likely to do it because it's going to take more of their time and patience and money. So it's going to be a smaller group, a select few teachers who can actually practice Montessori education. And then there's no structured curriculum. The next up is High Scope. It is designed by David Weikart in the early 1960s. It's designed to help students that are from disadvantaged backgrounds get a proper education rather than what they may be able to afford, because every student deserves to get a good education no matter of their financial background and status. Some key features are that it is active learning, meaning the children are actively engaging in their learning process through play rather than worksheets. It's a plan-do review, meaning the children plan their own activities and they do them themselves, so the teacher is just kind of there supervising. Adult-children interaction, meaning the teachers and children engage in meaningful interactions and the teachers guide the students instead of directing them. So really they're just kind of there to help. They're not there to teach. So they're kind of almost just, it's like a reverse classroom where the students are teaching the teacher. The teacher's just there to kind of help with whatever may be needed from them. And then key developmental indicators, basically meaning the curriculum is centered on specific developmental outcomes and it has clear goals lined out, so they're not just kind of rolling with the punches. They're sitting. They're needing to be, the students are needing to be doing certain things that are already lined out for them. Pros and cons. Some pros are it promotes problem solving. It's structured but still flexible, so the students know what they need to do, but it's still kind of on them to do almost what they want, but they have to follow some sort of guidelines. It's strongly backed by evidence, so there's proof that it works and it helps. And it focuses on active learning, which, like I said earlier, is doing it hands-on through play and things like puzzles or projects instead of sitting and doing a worksheet or sitting and looking at the board. Some cons, once again, like Montessori, there's special training that teachers have to do. So there may be less teachers that are going to do it because they have to do more training. They can't just go, they have their degree, go interview, get a job. But that's part of the process, but then they also have to do extra training, which people may not want to do because of time and money reasons. It could be challenging in large classrooms because of the individuality that it is, and the teacher just can't, stand up in a classroom full of 25 kids, teach the same information. Pretty much almost every student is going to be doing different things, so you kind of have to be everywhere all at once, which is going to be hard to do, to get done in a, say, an 8-hour workday. And there's a need for special resources, so some areas may be easier to get those rather than others, so it really just depends. The next is the Reggio Emilia approach, which some background info. It originated in the Italian city of Reggio Emilia after World War II, and it was led and started by educators such as Loris Maligny. Some key features are that it emphasizes the importance of collaboration, and the environment is very carefully designed, so it almost acts as a third teacher because of the level of creativity and learning that it promotes. The role of the teacher is that teachers are seen as co-learners and collaborators, and they help guide the students through the learning process. So the teachers aren't really the teachers, but they're learning with the kids because the kids are kind of almost guiding it themselves. The image of the child. Children are viewed as strong, capable, and resilient, and they have the ability to construct their own knowledge. So if you think about it in a classroom in today's world, in your everyday public school, K through 12 classroom, it would be the student is almost making their own curriculum and what they want to learn and what they're going to learn and what they don't want to learn. Some pros and cons are, start with pros. It fosters creativity and problem solving. There's a strong community focus. It's very individualized, and it's a very engaging environment. Some cons are that it's very resource intensive, meaning you need more resources than you may be able to get in your everyday classroom. It requires highly skilled teachers, so it's a very small group of teachers that are able to do the Reggio Emilia approach. And there's limited research on the long-term outcomes, meaning you don't really know how it's going to come out and how it's going to work out in the long run for the students. There's studies that show it's good and early, but there's very few showing, high school and middle school. The last method is the project approach, meaning, and some background on that is, the project approach is an inquiry-based model of learning where the children will explore different topics of their own interests on an in-depth level over an extended period of time. So, like the title, they're working on a project, and that's basically it for an extended amount of time. Some key features are it's an in-depth exploration of topics, meaning the children will engage in long-term projects, like I said earlier, and they explore one topic for an extended period of time in detail. So it's not just a sort of vague, oh, this is the history of dinosaurs, and they were extinct in year blah, blah, blah. You're learning when they went extinct, why they went extinct, what happened. Active investigation, meaning the children will gather information, make decisions, and solve problems through the use of hands-on activities. So they're working on whether it's what happens when you mix baking soda and vinegar. They're going to do the process to learn what happens. Teacher as facilitator, meaning the teacher acts as a guide and they help the students shape and explore their own ideas while still providing that structure that kids need and the resources to help them succeed on their projects. Some pros and cons. Some pros are it promotes critical thinking and problem solving. It encourages collaboration. It's real world learning, and it's flexible. Some cons are it's time consuming, so each project is going to take longer than a normal project or assignment would in a regular everyday classroom. It requires a high level of teacher involvement, so it's going to be hard to make sure you give every group the same attention when you have a class of like 25, like I said earlier. And you got to try to help them all and give them the structure and time and attention they need to succeed. You're more than likely not going to be able to give every group the same amount. And it's not feasible for all settings, meaning you just sometimes you're not going to be able to have every student do their own project and learn their own information. And yeah.